I've spent the last 23 years digging for tax sale gold on tax sale list. And today, I'm going to take you behind the scenes to show you exactly what I'm searching for. We'll scour a few upcoming tax sale lists together, and we'll locate the absolute best deals that are worth pursuing in the coming weeks. By the end of this video, you'll see exactly how you can spot the best opportunities fast, just like I have done for many years, live and in real time on real tax sale properties that you might even consider bidding on perhaps in the coming weeks. Let's go ahead and switch on over to my screen. All right, so we're going to search a few random counties in the state of Florida. And we're going to start with Leon County, Florida tax deed sale. And these are counties that I don't actively invest in, and I'm not super familiar with their systems or anything like that. So you're going to learn on the fly as I learn for these specific counties, because every county is just a little bit different. But hopefully, by the end of this video, you'll be able to grab a few of these golden nuggets that are coming up for sale and place a few bids on them if you're interested, or just follow along and watch and see what we learn by going through a tax sale list. All right, we'll click on auction calendar here. What I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to copy this into another browser, and then I'm going to log on in a different screen. That way I don't share my password and login information with everybody in the entire world. Once I get logged in, we'll actually come back over here. All right. So got to go through all these little disclaimers and stuff. I don't have a deposit or anything like this with Leon County because I don't actively invest there. So we're going to see if we can find a few hidden properties. Looks like next week, in about 8 days from today, we have a tax deed sale. 29 properties are coming up, and let's see if any of those are going to be good. All right, so right off the bat, something I do want to point out. Opening bid here, $77,000. The assessed value is $135,000. You think, how on earth can somebody accumulate $77,000 in back due taxes when the tax on this property is probably only 3 years old or so, right? Well, in the state of Florida, they do it a little bit different. So this usually indicates, and I'd have to do some research if we want to look at this property. It usually indicates this is a property that has homestead exemption, homestead tax exemption on it for somebody's primary residence. So in the state of Florida, what they'll do is they'll take 1/2 of the tax assessed value, they'll add it to the amount of back due taxes, interest, and fees, and that will be the opening bid amount. So you have 1/2 the assessed value plus taxes, interest, and fees. And that's where the opening bid starts. And the reason for that is if you lose your homestead in the state of Florida, they want you to be able to have something at least. So from this opening bid, the county will take what they are owed, and what's left over goes to you as a surplus funds situation. You simply stake your claim on the property. You get your money back as long as there aren't any lien holders on that property. So just wanted to point that out because that kind of catches some people off guard. But you do, there's no... for the investor side, it's not like you bid the back your taxes. You bid the opening bid right here. All right, so let's scroll through. Same thing, 147 to 265. Let's see, we got a $7,000 opening bid, assessed value $99,000. Now, I've said it before, these assessed values, take them with a grain of salt. I'm just comparing these two numbers for the purposes of this exercise, but take it with a grain of salt. All right, let's look at a few more here. Let's go. We'll choose. Let's choose this one right here. Opening bid 110, assessed value 202. So we'll click on this, and let's see. Brenda Whetstone is the owner. Look on property assessor, and we'll see if we get some details about this property. All right, so we have the address right here. 5707 Mahan Drive. So we'll go ahead and we'll right-click that, search into Google, see what we got. While that's loading, we'll go back and review some of this. Looks like 2005, the property was sold for $137,000. Prior to that, there was a quick claim deed of sorts filed. Prior to that, there was a quick claim deed. And when you see these $0 or $100 or something like that, if it's usually that the county puts that in there more or less as a placeholder. Maybe it's a property transfer from, a spouse to his significant other or something along those lines, a family member, that kind of thing. So we scroll on. We got a single family residence built in 1951, 2,097 square feet. Here's the layout of the building. Looks like you got a detached carport unfinished over here. The structure is concrete block. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for this property. Let's see what we found on the Google. Video 5707 Mahan Drive. All right, so something to point out. You see this stuff right here. Like you see Zillow and Realtor.com. They have these are actually, it looks like two different houses. Now you can click on this information, but a lot of times, especially unless the property is listed recently or something, what you see on Google, this house that they show you is not going to be the house. It's just a property in that area or something that their algorithm tied to it or whatever. So it might, a lot of times it's not that house, but it might be one of these two houses perhaps. But regardless, we scroll down. We don't have a whole lot of information on this property. His estimate $340,000. Again, that's, you don't want to go off that unless you have to. You do have some comparable sold properties around here in the 300s. That's pretty promising. All right, let's see if we got anything else on Google. Maybe Realtor.com. Sometimes you can find a old listing that'll give you a few photos of the property. Let's see. We're going to click on Google Maps and see if we get more information. Looks like it's right on Highway 90 here. And from here, what we'll do is we will see if we can load some layers on and take a look at this property. All right, so looks like it backs a pond. It's in a wooded area, or a wood. It looks like the lot is wooded. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm seeing a lot of junk right here. Looks like junk. Yeah, there's a lot of trash, a lot of junk and stuff. So this is probably a property you want to go and take a look at just to make sure it's not all junked out. Yeah, I think regardless, yeah, it's like a couple outbuildings. Let me just make sure I'm looking at the right property. Yeah, you got a couple outbuildings here and here. Yeah, so you've got some interesting stuff going on with this property. This is a property you probably want to go get eyes on for. I'm not going to say it's a steal at 110 to 2 to maybe somewhere in the 200s is what you're looking at. Not a. I mean, you can double your money, make quite a bit of money, but that's a property that's got a lot more issues than what we see right off the bat. So not going to say it's a home run, but it might be worth considering. All right, so let's see. Let's take another look here. We got 3 pages up here. We'll see if we can find a few different pages, a few different properties to look at. Let's look at this one on 1755 San Damian, 467 assessed value, opening bid 263. So again, that's going to be an issue where you have a homestead exemption. Half that got tied in, but it's still 263 to 467, possibly good. Let's see what we got. Summer Lake Phase. Let's go to the property appraisers report and see if it'll pull up for us. And no, that's fun. Okay, so this is not overly uncommon on these, because what happens is when your researcher or when the clerk puts this information in there, the system automatically links it up. So what we're going to do is we're actually go in there and have to do it manually, do a little manual search because they didn't link properly. And again, I can't remember the last time I used Leon County's site, so you're kind of work with me here. Okay, maybe there's a space there. Boom, got it. Okay. So we have 1755 San Damian Road. All right. Get out of that page now. This is in 2010, the property was vacant for $79,000. It sold under a warranty deed. Scroll down a little bit. Pretty good, solid tax, almost $500,000 in tax assessment value. 2010, 2,888 square feet, good size house. Wood frame house, looks like 5 bedrooms, 4 bath, no pool. Looks like a decent little property. Let's see what we got here. We can click on. Okay, there's our aerial of the property. So let's. Interesting. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about when I was talking about this earlier. You look at this house right here, and the driveway's on the left-hand side when you're looking at it. We look at this here, the GIS. The driveway's on the right-hand side when you're looking at it. So obviously, this the image that is attached to Zillow is not the property. Okay. This image that is attached to realtor.com is not the property. Okay. Because that's a townhouse or something. So don't go off just this stuff right off the bat. You want to dig a little bit deeper than that, right? So here we can take a look at Google Maps and see what's going on with Google Maps. All right. So we got this property here. And if we look at it, this is going to match what we see right here on our GIS. Pretty cool. It looks like this neighbor blurred their property out. We got some new construction down here. Now, bottom right, this image was 2011. So that's 14 years ago. I'm sure hopefully the neighbors built up a little bit more and hopefully it's in good condition. But that's a pretty nice looking house there, especially for a tax sale house. It's real nice looking. So let's do this. Let's see if we can find some comparable sales in the area to get us a real quick value on this property. Let's see, sales in 2025. All right, so we got a property right next door, 425. And it sold for right here, 474. It sold for. Click on this. Let's see if we can pull this up. Page can't be found. Okay, let's go back to Leon County and search. I get a value on this property. Yes, it is a little bit high on open bid for some folks, but there's quite a bit of margin in this property. Okay, this won't pull up. This might be a situation because it's not pulling up here and because it's blocked out and stuff. It could be a situation where the information is blocked. Maybe it's a law enforcement officer, maybe it's a judge, maybe it's an elected official, maybe it's somebody, a county a defense attorney, prosecuting attorney, stuff like that. They block their information, so we can't access that. We do know the house next door sold for 425. That is nice to know. We do have this property up here, though, that we can potentially access. Let's see. Okay, this one did pull up. Cool. All right, so this one sold at 474 in 2025. It was built 2008, so it's 2 years older, 2,076 square feet, so it's about 800 square feet smaller. Pretty much the same. Let's say looks like one less bedroom, one less bathroom. More than likely, the same builder built all these houses, or very similar builders. So this property is 1, 2, 3, 4 lots away. We zoom out. Let's see if we got any more. This one is in a smaller community. Got a vacant lot. Nothing else in this particular section. So we have a 425 and a 474. This 474 just sold. When did it sell? Say 6 months ago, 6-7 months ago. But that's going to be our best comp that we have at 474, and it is smaller. Now, we don't know how the condition compares or anything like that, but even 800 square foot smaller and a couple years newer, we can pretty much assume it's going to be worth at least around 470-ish. So you say 460, and you're at 260. So you stand to make, if you buy this property at the opening bid, and you don't know what it's going to sell for, but if you buy it at the opening bid, you stand to make $200,000 to best case scenario, maybe $250,000. Somewhere in that ballpark. That's a pretty solid return in my book. So, yeah, there's a couple. Let's go to another county. Let's see. And we're going to stick with Florida today. We'll do a couple more counties. Then we'll do another state at a different time. Let's do Hillsborough County tax deeds. Hillsborough County, which is Tampa. And most of you guys know I'm not too big of a fan of the larger markets, but these are just kind of markets that are sticking out right now to me. Okay, let's see here. Let's see. Slide back over here on another screen to log in another time. Once this logs in, we will put this tab right back here. Okay. I'll go back to the calendar. Oops, after we click all their disclaimers. Whoa. All right, so we've got 12, 13. Let's do this one. It's got 12. All right, so we got some interesting properties here. It looks like really interesting stuff. We'll do a couple here. All right, so just off this list here, we got opening bid right here, $15,000, assessed value $217,000, $4,000 assessed at $49,000, $16,000 assessed $228,000. pretty large returns. Let's see. Let's do this one here. This is $7,000. 818 Broad Street in Tampa. Ooh. Just looking at this photo, I see right here. I can just about guarantee that's going to have some sort of fines on it if that's not a sign right there. Yeah, we're going to skip that one. I don't think that's one of our home run deals. But that's why we look at these properties. Let's see. There's one in Plant City down there. Here's one. All right, let's do this first one right here. Why not? $16,000 opening bid, assessed value $228. Looks like an estate, which is not uncommon to see these types of properties in estates because they either don't have heirs or the heirs don't want the property. They don't want them to pay the taxes on them, anything like that. So that's what happens. You have these properties like this. This address is 823 Staffordshire Lane, Sun City Center, Florida. All right, so looking at this GIS, it looks like, actually, let's see if we can pull this up on another page. While that's loading, let's go over the property specs real quick. Assessed value $235. 1997, they paid $131. That's a very long time ago. Really can't use that for anything. Year built 1999. Condominium. So what you're seeing here is, okay. So I can zoom in real nice. This is really good pictures. So what you're seeing here is this is more or less a duplex, but it's split in half right here, and you're buying the right-hand side of this duplex. So obviously there's going to be dues that it looks like all these are duplexes in this area, or yeah. So, probably there's a management association that says, hey, for every person that owns a half, you own this much, per month. So there are going to be dues. Now, anything that's in the past in the state of Florida are not going to be your responsibility, but no, you have to pay dues as you move forward. So just keep that in the back of your head, especially if you're going to hold it on the market for 2 or 3 years trying to get top dollar. Those dues are going to add it up. 1,559 square feet. 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. An enclosed porch. And looks like it's on a little pond right here. Let's see if we can to get some more information about this property. Perhaps we can find something on Zillow that might help us determine the value. We'll also look on Realtor.com, and we'll see if there's anything around there that shows the value. Let me see. So the layers, interesting. Like I say, you see right there, that's kind of where it cuts off that layer. Actually, this whole box needs to be slid over. It's more or less right there. So I don't see, unfortunately, anything that says the sales on their GIS, like a sales history or anything like that. Again, I don't actively invest in this area. We could do a sales search, or I can try to find it on maybe on Zillow and see if that works and see if we can figure out what we're looking at there. Estimated value for Realtor.com is $276. Let me see if we can find some information on Zillow. Now, anything that you see on Zillow, this is just real cursory type review that you need to actually take the time and verify, including sales data and stuff like that. So let's take a look. Let's see if we can locate the property that is for sale. And maybe there's some properties around it. Let me see if we can. So just looking, and this is something that you have to do every now and then. It's a kind of a pain. If I knew how to operate their site a little better, if I invested in Hillsborough County on a very regular basis, no big deal. You could probably figure it out. But, I'm learning this system just like you guys are. And that's the reason I'm choosing counties that I don't actively invest in, just so we can all learn them together. So you got this highway right here. You got a straight road right here. And you got this subdivision. Let's see if we can find out where it's at. When we look at a map, there's the highway right there. Let's see if we can zoom in some. Okay, and the address was Staffordshire, which is right here. Let's see if we can zoom in on that property a little bit. So I said this property right here, kind of on these two corners, the corner of this road right here. Boom, right here. So looking at this, you've got a property. It looks like the unit right next door to it is actually for sale at present for $275. So that is what, if you're doing like a broker's price opinion, they would call that competition. That's more or less what your competition is right now. Obviously, nobody's paid $275, so we don't know what that property is valued at. But we do have, I believe, a number of properties. Let me just double check here that have sold, I would imagine. Let's see where we're at. That's a good thing about a subdivision like this. Once you kind of have an idea of what you're looking at, you can really get a pretty easy idea because most of the properties are very, very similar. So you have this property here, this 190. If we scroll down to this, we've got on their little loop right here, there's a little pond right here. It's not shown on this map on Zillow, but we do see it on this GIS right here. So on that little loop, you've got a 358, a 310. Oh, there it is right there. 295, 220, 304, 285, 188. If we were going to dig in a little bit deeper, place bids on stuff, we would actually go and match up. You could probably find the exact unit. But just looking at these numbers, I would probably toss out the low ones, toss out the high ones. So you're looking somewhere between 220 and I would say 220 and 285. With it being a tax sale house, it might not be in good condition, but a lot of these properties are actually in pretty decent condition. So in that situation, I would probably evaluate it in the low end, maybe 230, somewhere in that bar, 220, maybe even 200 or so. And again, opening bid $16,000. So $16,000, we could turn it into $200K if you get the opening bid. So obviously that's something, you might want to take a look at, or maybe you pay $100,000 or $150,000 for it, and you still have meat on the bone, so to speak. You have margin in this property to make some money. So there's a couple in Hillsborough. Let's take a look. Let's do one more county. We're going to do, let's do Miami-Dade. Kind of working our way down the state, right? We go the Panhandle, Tampa, we'll go Miami-Dade, tax, deed, sell. And Miami-Dade, they also use real foreclose, which makes it really easy. Same thing. I'm going to slide my screen out real quick here. And what we'll do is I will log in. We'll take a look at two properties here in Miami-Dade before we wrap this up. But hopefully you're kind of seeing the idea of what I'm doing. I'm just looking at the properties, looking at some of the values, the opening bid amount, doing a little bit of cursory type research. And then, if these are properties that you're interested in purchasing, I mean, that duplex would have been a fantastic buy. That property in Tallahassee would have been a fantastic buy. So obviously, if you wanted to research, if you wanted to bid on these, you do some more research, probably drive by it yourself or send a scout to drive by it for you. But you can actually buy all these properties I'm showing you on Real Foreclose online. You don't have to go there or anything like that to bid. But obviously, you do want to get eyes on the property. So it looks like we got a auction next week. Now they do the foreclosure sales. The blue ones, those are bank foreclosures, and the orange ones are going to be your tax deed sales. So make sure you click on the right one. Now, for anybody that says tax sales are the only four properties where places where you get junk properties, look at these values: $652,000, $1.7 million, $1 million, 167, 238, 103, 233, 138. Let's see, opening bid. Oh, those are redeemed on the bottom down there. 178, 155, 94, 1.3. So there's a lot of properties here. We'll click on, let's just do this one, $1.3 million. All right, so a few things I see of this right off the bat. You got lien holders. You got Miami-Dade County Regulatory and Economic Resource Department building. They got a lien against it. Whoever it is, I'm not even sure what the department is or what they're for. They got a lien against it. Miami-Dade County Stormwater Utility, they got a lien against the property, right? These mortgages don't really matter to us because they get foreclosed out during the foreclosure process. But these are governmental agencies. Governmental liens will stick. They are your responsibility. Now, can you negotiate them out? Yeah, absolutely. A lot of times you can, but don't just assume they will give you a discount. Assume you will pay it and then hope for the best. Hope you can negotiate that out. So when we look at this, we got a $62,000 value. Let's take a look at the property assessor's report. Hopefully it pulls up for us. All right. So 2001, what we're going to do is we'll see, let that load in the background. This is a commercial structure, nightclub, lounge, or bar entertainment. One floor, 6,000 square feet, 6,100. Lot size is 33,000 feet. Looks like it's just under, right around 3/4 of an acre, somewhere in that ballpark. Assessed value, 1.3 for the land value. That's pretty interesting. That's quite a bit of money for a tax defaulted piece of real estate. Again, we'd have to do our own comps and stuff, but let's see, 2017, 2.7 million. This says multi-parcel sale. You'd have to take a look at the deed. Actually, let's go ahead and do that really quick, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Because a lot of times they'll have 4 or 5 different parcels that will be put together on one deed, and the total transaction might be the 2.7 million or whatever it was. But we're looking at this. Let's see if we get this little image here. All right, so we got 2 parcel IDs on this. So if we wanted to, kind of figure out the value and stuff, we have to take a look at both those parcel IDs. That's kind of out of the scope of today's video. But nonetheless, let's take a look at this property, see exactly what it is. Because again, this is a assessed over $1,062,000 opening bid. All right, so let's keep scrolling up. And not sure why this is not working for us right now, but we will go. 2 things here. Notice this says property address. Just want to point this out. I searched for the property address, okay? This is mailing address. Make sure you're not searching for the mailing address and you look like, and you think you're buying a place in Hialeah. This is not in Hialeah. This is at this address right here. So make sure you click and search the right one. That's not in Gainesville. That is in Miami, Florida. Club Climax. What in the world? Wow. Okay. Interesting. We've got a gentleman's club. Okay. This is I don't think I've ever seen an active gentleman's club being sold. Interesting. So let's take a look at this. All right, so you got a Walgreens across the street. Let's go back this way really quick. So when this image was taken in January 2019, this Walgreens was here. We scroll out a little bit. As of 2024, this Walgreens is no longer there. Looks like you have a Wendy's right here, I believe. Let's see. Scroll down. This is wild. So, all right, it looks like, it's a building and it's apparently an operating strip club, but you got a parking lot. I think obviously the value here is going to be in the land. Just looking at this area, you got a 7-Eleven here. Looks like you've got, what do you got down here? Maybe a military, okay, Army Reserve Base, or Army Reserve Center. Looks like a newer 7-Eleven in this area here. Newer 7-Eleven. They're just kind of scrolling around the area to get a feel for what we got. This is really one of those properties one of those situations where the value is in the property. The building looks just like a block building. There's no telling what's on the inside of that thing, but so that is our property. So, all right, we'll move on from this one, but $63,000 opening bid, $1 million assessed value. And as you can see from the county, of course, they say, again, take this with a grain of salt. You have to do your comps and stuff and figure out all the actual value of the land. But they say the value of the land is worth $300,000. The value of the land is worth 1.3 and the building's 300,000. So obviously the bulk of the value is in the land. The assessor believes it. I believe it as well. It's just a concrete block building. Obviously, if you want to take a look at this, you might want to drive by it. I probably don't need to stop, probably don't need to go inside, but you can take a look at this, see what the comps are in the area for vacant land, and then go from there. 3/4 of an acre in that area. Let's see, let's do a zoom out and see how close it is to all the hot spots and all that good stuff. I'm not overly familiar with Miami, but Miami Shores, North Miami, Biscayne Bay Area, Hialeah, Miami. So it's not, looks like it's in a very busy commercial area. That's for certain. So not far from the airport. So maybe worth checking out if you're into vacant land investments or if you're into specialty type businesses. Nonetheless, Value is over $1 million, and the opening bid is 63 grand. Let's move on. Okay. Let's do one more property, and then we will call it here. Let's see here. Guess I'm highly. Let's go back. Is there a third page on this? Let's go back to the first page. And what you'll notice, all these on the bottom are redeemed properties. Those have already been sold. All right, so let's look at. Here's one. $17,000 opening bid. And this is a $167,000 assessed value. Lien holder, City of North Miami Beach. Looks like there's a condo association. Let's see if we can figure out what this property is before we call it. Maybe do one more depending on how long we spend on this property. Let's see here. We got Eastern Shores 2 leasehold. So you got a condominium in a building. It looks like 6,690 square feet is the living area. Something's wrong there. Something's off. Oh, it's a leased property. Yeah, this isn't. Okay, this is a leasehold. It's a commercial leasehold interest. Not interested in that. Let's go back here. Let's take a look at. Let's look at this. Let's see. I'm trying to find one with a lower opening bid. A little bit hard in Miami because the taxes are pretty steep there. Let's do this one. Let's do $15,000 opening bid. Lien holder, Florida Land Trust, Financial Services, Ocean Bank, tax collector. Okay, we'd have to do a title search on this property just to make sure there's no outstanding liens that would concern us. Let's take a look at this property search, and then also while that is loading, right-click this and search. Just like to have a couple different tabs loading at the same time, especially when I'm recording like this. The computer bogs down a little bit, but typically I'll still do the same process. So we got the owners here. Single family residence, 1 unit, 1 floor, 1,100 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. Lot size is 5,300 square feet, small lot. Quite a bit of interesting sales history. In lieu of foreclosure in 2009, looks like it was maybe not even ever sold out of foreclosure or sold to somebody on a quick claim deed or something was weird to this company here. Holdings an investment company who ended up not paying the taxes on it. I got a building built in 1938 and a building built in 2018, 128 square feet. I'm not sure what that is. Let's see if we can figure out what we are looking at here. All right, so you got this little house right here. I believe. I'll scroll down and see if we have anything else we can take a look at that helps us. Building sketches. That's what I was looking for right here. All right, so you have 1 story, an enclosure, and an enclosure. Huh. I think that's going to be the property. Whoa. 2011. 1 story enclosure, and this was enclosed. Okay, that was enclosed at a later date. And our porch right here too. Okay, so this is going to be our property. That was 2011. We zoom out, we move around a little bit. We have 2018. Obviously, the property's in a little bit better condition. Don't know about the comps or anything. That's a nice little place across the street. That beautiful grass too. That they got. It's just like a general working class area. Yeah, this might be a property that it's a church across the street. Okay, maybe property you consider placing a bid on, driving by, check it out, see if you're interested in it. $15,000 opening bid. Assessed value 178. I'm not gonna run the comps or anything like that on this one, but yeah, I mean it's certainly worth well into the 100s, just based on the area that's in. Let's do one more. We'll squeak out one more listing here. Let's do next page. We'll do this one right here. 1351 North Miami Gardens Drive. Click on that. Okay, Buckley Towers condo. Okay, so again, we have a whole bunch of lien holders here. League experts doesn't concern me. The construction company doesn't concern me. The condominium association, none of these concern me, with the exception of Miami-Dade County Regulatory and Economic Resource Department Building Support section, whatever that means. For some reason, you owe them money. Okay, so you own unit. You're buying unit 523 East and an undivided interest in the common elements, which is very common in a townhouse or condominium community. It's going to be a building at some sort. Let's see if we can figure it out. And if for some reason the GIS is not loading it, usually it would zoom in and kind of give you a better idea. But we're looking at unit 523E, 1351 Northeast Miami Gardens Drive. That's probably going to be in this building right here, if I had to guess. So what you can do is search this and then see what we pop up for. Okay, so there's the building right there. A whole bunch of businesses and all sorts of other things in there. So Buckley Towers, Miami. Is that it? Buckley Towers condo, that's it. Okay, 861 square feet. You're built in 1969. 1 bedroom, 2 bathroom, probably, 2 bathroom, under 4,000. They bought this for $62,000. Let's see what this is worth. Again, the dues don't really concern me. All these guys that are working on it don't concern me, with the exception of the Miami-Dade County. That is going to be your responsibility if you buy this property. So let's see. We have condos for sale in Buckley Tower. 182, average day on the market, 113, average list price. Let's see, we got a 180, 150, 159, 175, a 285, looks like for a bigger unit. How big was our unit? Let's see, it was wrong page. 861 square feet. 800 square feet for 173. 800 square feet for 250. So we're in the 861. This is probably the same exact unit for 199. I'm not the same exact unit, same exact floor plan, if you know what I mean. Let's see. Our unit is 523E. Let's see if we find anywhere near us. There's 501E, 175, 601E. That's going to be probably a floor higher for 159. So you're probably talking in the 150s, somewhere in that ballpark. Let's see, how much was it? It was $6,700. So, turning $6,700 into 150, I would do that all day long. Obviously, we don't know what this is going to sell for. Even if you got it for 50, 60 grand, you probably still make some money on it. The good thing about buying a condo is and I don't know the condition of this building or anything else, but just looking at this place, it looks like it is at least, decently maintained. Just looking at the building and that kind of stuff. Let's look at a few of these photos, actually. It looks like the common areas are maintained. These are older units, but it looks like the common areas are maintained. The outside of the building is maintained. It's got a little pool and stuff like that. So that is a good thing about a condo unit. You don't have to worry about the exterior stuff because those dues are going towards that. Again, you don't have to pay the past dues, but you will have to be responsible for the future dues, which could be quite a bit. I mean, you're talking $468 per month. So if you're planning on holding this to get top dollar and that takes you a year or two, that adds quite a bit of money on top of it. So, you every time you buy a tax sale property, a house especially, you need to say, hey, the properties that I see active on the market, there's going to be a lot nicer than what I'm getting. So understand you might need to go in there and either sell it as is at a discount, or if you want to get top dollar, you probably need to remodel it at least to make it look better, which again, the good thing is you're only remodeling the inside on a unit like this. But yeah, $6,700 into 150 or possibly more, not a bad deal in my book. But as with all the properties that we discussed today, obviously, if you're thinking about bidding, make sure you do some deeper research. There's a lot of things that you need to look at, including the title, the condition of the property, do a drive-by, really dial in the values, that kind of stuff. Today, I just wanted to show you some of the properties that exist out there when it comes to finding tax sale gold. This is a great example right here. That commercial building was a fantastic example. I think it was $60,000 or $70,000 into $1 million land value. The property that we saw over in Hillsborough County, that half the duplex, that was a great example of a fantastic deal. The property we saw up in Leon County in that newer type subdivision that the property just sold near it for like 475 or something. That's another great example of how much money you can make in the tax sale business. Obviously, again, we don't know what this property is going to sell for, but just by being on here for maybe 30 minutes or so, 45 minutes, and I've been working much slower than I usually do, so everybody can kind of stay with me. But just in that short period, we've got 5, 6 properties that we just more or less stumbled upon in areas that I don't actively even research or actually even invest, that you can make a tremendous amount of money on. And even if those sell for too much money, if there's too much competition on those, just understand that there are properties like this all over the country that you can bid on. Now, we just did Florida Day. We'll look into another state in the near future. But hopefully you got something out of this video today. Hopefully you learned what to look for when you pull up these properties and how to spot some of those hidden opportunities and potentially, depending on what they sell for, some of those golden nuggets that could maybe even change your life. And if you do decide to bid on any of these, let me know how it turns out for you. In the meantime, make sure you check us out at taxsaleacademy.com if you are looking to learn more about investing in tax default real estate. Hope this helps, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.